Hey guys, Huzzy here bringing you another video. Now welcome to a patch note breakdown video. So again, not the most popular video that we do, but everyone that watches them seems to enjoy them. So if you are one of those people, please throw a like. It does help out these videos especially. Please throw a comment. Interaction is key in this type of thing. Let me know what you think of the patch, for example. So just before we begin getting into the actual notes, it's worth noting here we're still holding off on going crazy or going too crazy with balance changes until after 9.19, the patch that Worlds will be played on. So they do little things here and there, but they're holding off. So Worlds is going to be played on patch 9.19. So in patch 9.20, they might start to do bigger things, ready for the preseason. So again, that's very clear and very hard evidence. If you've ever heard me say the League of Legends is top down, that they balance the game for pros, challengers downwards, there's clear evidence they're literally not balancing the game for solo queue, for normal players, because Worlds is coming. So there is, again, if you've ever doubted me saying that, there is literal clear evidence. Anyway, let's get into the changes. So we have got a Aurelion Soul rework, which yes, we will be checking out. Because I do like Aurelion. He's pretty cool, just very niche, or niche, if that's how you want to say that pronunciation. I say niche. So he's basically a one-trick champion. You've got to be very confident in order to pull him off properly, and a very heavy roam playstyle. So they are, let's make that a bit bigger. Passive damage decreased, AP ratio now flat, stars are no longer disabled by CC, that's a pretty big thing. Q cooldowns now scales, movement speed increased, star will keep up with Aurelion Soul. Ooh, interesting. W now expands, stars and rotates at a decaying speed. Cooldown increased, however. Cost no longer increases over time, so his mana costs aren't as bad. E passive movement speed removed, range and cooldown altered, and speed now scales. Okay, so they're doing a lot to the champion. This is basically what you'd call a mini rework. They're not changing any abilities, they're not making them different per se, they're just kind of giving him a little bit of a fresh paint, you know, a fresh coat of paint. Maybe making him a little bit more relevant to not just one tricks. That is most likely the plan. We'll see if it works. So the passive, Center of the Universe, is now doing, it was doing 20 damage, scaling to 130, basically getting 3 per level, and then higher scaling later on in mid-game and stuff. It's now lower to begin with and a little bit lower late game. However, it has now got a flat AP ratio, so that will make up for a worse early game. Well, it'll help out with that, but it probably is a slightly nerfed late game overall, because it used to be a 0.35 late game and it did more late game flat damage, but now it's only a 0.25. So it will help his early game but not his late game. But then also, which is good, ability, basically crowd control, no longer nullifies Center of the Universe. So that's pretty good. And again, if Center of the Universe, by the way, that's his stars that are just rotating around him, I think, completely. That's them, because that's, I think, technically his passive. So that's interesting. And remember, this damage per hit, I think, is per hit of a star. So that's why it's low and it has a lowish ability power ratio, because it's going fast. It's going around. Q. So this is the big star that expands with movement when you stay with the star. So it's now not flat 10 seconds anymore. It now is scaling. So this is what you would call a buff. That, you know, rank 1 might be a slight nerf, but rank 2 it's equal, and then it's only a buff from there. But the movement speed has been increased by 10%. And then, catch me if you can, if Aurelion Soul is faster than his star, the star will speed up to match with him. That is a brilliant change. So you might have had a team comp that is movement speed orientated, you get calm altered, you get severe altered, and the movement speed helps you, and your star is way back there, and you're like, oh, well now it will actually keep up with you and keep expanding as you're also gaining speed. So that is actually a really nice quality of life change, overall a buff right there. So the W, that used to be, it obviously expanded his stars out, and from memory you could have it on... Could you have it on indefinitely? I think so, maybe. Again, I didn't play too much Aurelion, so it's like, it's a bit fuzzy in my head. Obviously, I played him, but it's like, I think, was it indefinitely, or was it like for a maximum cooldown? I don't remember. Maybe rank 5 was indefinite. I don't know. I literally can't remember. So we've got this now. Let it rip. When Aurelion Soul pushes his stars out to the outer limit, they gain increased damage and rotate at high speed. but decaying speed. So they'll start really quick, kind of like Let It Rip, that's a Beyblade reference. Starts really fast, and then it will slowly slow down, where before it used to just be a flat speed, which is cool. After 3 seconds, or if Aurelion Soul reactivates it early, the stars will retract and grant Aurelion Soul 40% movement speed, decaying over 1.5 seconds. So in order, like, this is actually a good mechanic. Also, my screens might have just turned orange. Let me fix that before I go really orange. There we go. Again, it just turned 8 o'clock at night, and the night light comes on. So, however, early game nerf, by the way, by a couple seconds, but then late game buff. So that's great. So yeah, if you're in mid lane, you're getting ganked. If you just double tap W, practically, you get a little burst of movement speed that might be enough to dodge a Blitzcrank hook or get out of the way of a Lee Sin Q. That's going to be pretty nice. So that's overall a buff in my book. And then the mana also has gone down overall, I'd say, because again, it's the decaying speed, and then after 3 seconds, so what, does this only last 3 seconds? I'm not sure. Or maybe you can have it on for more, but after 3 seconds you'll get movement speed to stay with people. Because again, I kind of think you could have kept this on forever. I'm pretty sure you can actually now, because again, it was 40 mana plus 22 mana at rank 1 per second it was on, up to 30 mana per second it was activated. Now it's just a flat, at rank 1 it costs 70 mana to activate, the end. At maximum 110 mana to activate, the end. I kind of think they're going to keep it that you can just have it on forever, maybe. I think they should do that. It would be kind of weird if it deactivates for you. It's just going to get slower. That's basically the punishment for keeping them really. Yeah, so for keeping them really out wide, they're going to start fast, but again, slower and slower and slower. I think they'll stay out wide, but then they're really slow. So you might want to reactivate it every now and then just to gain the movement speed back. So I think that's pretty cool. E, so his movement, where he was like flying over the map, passive, Aurelion Soul no longer gains bonus movement speed when moving in the same direction for a period of time. So that's gone. The range, however, has been buffed completely. So the range used to be 3,000. It's now 5,500 at rank 1, finishing on 500 range more than it used to be. So that's a net buff. Cooldown has although gotten nerfed, which makes sense because they're giving it more range, so that's okay. And the speed, however, has also been buffed. Used to be a flat 600, it's now starting at 600, but it's ending on 800. So that's pretty fast. You can go longer, but you can do it less. I actually think that's pretty legit. I think that's overall, with his Aurelion changes, I am actually interested in trying him out and seeing what it's all about. If you hear thunder, by the way, we are having thunderstorms right now. But yeah, that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. We'll try it out. Thumbs up in my book. Galio, so they did hurt Galio quite a lot. And again, Galio has been underperforming for the last few patches. I wonder why, Riot. You guys like got rid of the flash mechanic. They might have put that back in, by the way. I don't even know. The reason why I don't know if they put that back in, when do you see Galio anymore, everybody? Like, I don't remember. There might have been one in my last few games, but he didn't do anything, so I can't really remember. He didn't do anything that would make me go, oh, Galio. Yeah, I don't know, it's weird. I kind of am in the camp, and you guys can let me know. I was fine with him being a full AP mage in mid lane. I think it was interesting having a all-in full AP melee mage like him with a taunt. It was interesting, and yes, it was hard to balance, I guess, but it was better than him just being in a weird tank state that he doesn't do anything. That's basically old Galio, like before the rework. So I would like him back in mid lane, and what they're doing with him, they're giving him more mana regen, which I think is very helpful because he goes really quick. His Q has been buffed, so it's going to, in the early game, so that will help his poke or lane phase, depending where he's going. And then his W does obviously some damage when you taunt people. It's doing more minimum damage by quite a bit, and then it's also doing a more minimum maximum damage by also quite a bit. So if you get a full charge W at rank 5, it's going to base hit for 240. And remember, you could hit all 5 of the enemy team just by that ability. That's not bad. That's fine for a non-damage ability that you're not really using your W to kill people. That's actually not that bad. So yeah, because even if you get a max taunt, which you know you can do on 2 people, and you're going to be taunting them, you're going to deal in like roughly just under 500 damage to those 2 people instantly. It's not bad. I'll take that. Callista. So again, another champion that Riot has admitted, and it's weird because I guess maybe it's about time. Maybe about a year or two ago, the Riot Balance team literally came out and said, I'm not kidding. We are not going to do anything to Azir, Ryze, or Callista. They said that, and they were like, we don't know what to do. We're just going to nerf them and leave them there for a while, and that's what they did. But slowly these champions are beginning a little bit of changes now. They're getting a little bit of play seen, and here we go again. So this actually looks to be quite a considerable buff. So why is this a buff? Well, Callista, I'll say it right now, is great for pro play. She's really fun to watch. She's got the hopping mechanic that, you know, a really good AD carry will make look amazing. She's got her throw that you throw your support in can look awesome. You combine it with like an Alistair or Galio support, for example. And guess what's coming? And we mentioned it right at the beginning. Worlds. So a good pro AD carry that's getting now buffed. Surprise! It's not a surprise. So yeah, 2 attack damage. That's not bad. We're getting plenty more mana at rank 1. So, you know, 18 more mana at rank 1. That's pretty good. And then also 10 more mana growth. That's pretty good too. So those are pretty big buffs. So I would say expect Callista in Worlds if the teams want to try it. The teams might be settled on, we're just going to use Severe, Kai'Sa, Lucian, you know, the ones that are being used all the time at the moment. We might just stick with those, but there's a chance now that Callista might get play. Kayle, bunch of changes happening. So Kayle's been in a weird state. You know, I did mention not that long ago that some people deem this as a failed rework. But some people deem this as a successful rework. It's a bit weird, I know. But if you're a Kayle player that you're like, legit, I am all for my late game. I am a late game player. I know what I'm doing. I cannot feed in the early game. I'm confident for that. I'm okay at farming, not risking anything. You probably like the update. But if you're somebody that's like, I'm so bored in the early game, let me do something, and you like playing Kayle, you probably don't like the update. So let's see what they're doing. So, passive, which is obviously at level 6, 11, 16, you get the upgrades. So level 6 from memory is the AoE, level 11 used to be the range, and level 16 used to be the AoE ranged true damage. So what are they doing? So from level order, so now that's all changing. So she is getting a Risen form at level 6 and a Flame form at level 11. Right, I can't remember which way round they are. Zealous bonus movement speed. So it used to be 15% movement speed when exalted and moving towards enemies. It's now 8% when exalted, but in all directions. So you can be running away and that will still help. You also now get Zealous stack sources. Basic attacks against non-structures, but it's now all basic attacks. So you could be getting this when you're hitting a tower, basically stacking the true damage and becoming the exalted status. So yeah, that's a buff. A Risen attack range has, however, been nerfed by 25. That's not crazy, but it will make a tiny difference. So they have removed Kayle's bonus attack speed from her Zealous is no longer blah, blah, blah. So they've got rid of that. They've also got rid of Fire Waves no longer deal true damage. Oh, snap, she doesn't do true damage anymore. Oh, wow, they got rid of the true damage. To be fair, if you had a good Kayle that survived to level 16, had her build 3 items, let's say, by level 16... she's really hard to kill with true damage, like, really hard. It's just usually a good top laner will not let a Kayle get to that state. The game should be over by then. But if a Kayle did get there, it was trouble. Well, now she's not even doing true damage, so that's a bit interesting. But again, I think, by the way, what's going on... so I think what this is, by the way, is... I'm not really sure. Oh, okay, here we go. So, a Risen... is ranged. So yeah, here we go. A Risen form at level 11. They're now getting a Risen form at level 6. So she is becoming ranged at level 6. And then they're swapping it around. So the AoE, which is called a flame, I guess, that she's doing fire to burn or everything. So AoE, she's getting that at level 11 and she's getting ranged form at level 6. Oh god, that's a big buff. Okay, I'm not surprised they're taking away the true damage now. So this is a massive buff for Kayle players. Ooh, I might play Kayle. Oh, sorry, that sounds way more fun. Okay, thumbs up for me so far. She's also getting, when Kayle is in her Transcendent form, she gains an additional 50 range for a total of 575 attack range on basic attacks. So just to make that clear, she obviously Arisen, which is the range form at level 6, is a nerf. Transcendent, I think, is level 16. So at level 16, it's actually a ranged buff. But at level 6 to 15, 16, it's a nerf. But because she is getting the ranged form quicker. Yeah, okay. Overall, I'd say a buff, but no true damage. So that will hurt her, but again, you would, at least in the early game, you'll be more useful now. So it should, in theory, kind of balance it out. So that's fine. Her Q, it now refunds 50% of allied mana, or abilities power, sorry, for each champion hit with it. So if you hit 2 champions, that spell is now free. That's pretty nice. But obviously in top lane where she predominantly is, you know, you're generally going to only be hitting 1 but most of the time. But again, 50% mana cost return, that's not bad. The cast delay has gone down, so it happens quicker when you press the button. The cast time has also gone to a flat 0.25 seconds. Now it used to be based on the attack speed timer, so the more attack speed you had, I guess, the quicker it went off. Now it's just a flat 0.25, so that might be a buff in the early game because you've got no attack speed, and a nerf in the late game. There does seem to be a pattern here. Missile speed also is slower, however, and the range is also gone down. So they're doing this, by the way, just to make it clear, because the only thing Kayle used to have in range until level 11 really was this Q and the occasional E hit. When now, yeah, it did. That made it ranged. Well, now you're going to be level 6 ranged, so they're taking some of the poke power from Q away. That makes sense. That just makes sense. Also, the resistances reduction: 20% of target's armor and magic resist for 3 seconds. Again, naturally, that is also going down a tiny bit, so it's going to 15%. And then also, but it does go to 4 seconds. So again, that is because they were trying to give her a bit better trading, take away resistances because she was melee and quite weak. Well, again, they're taking some of that power away because you're going to get ranged quicker. That's fine. So again, bonus magic damage, it did percentage, and then it did a per 1% extra per ability power of the target's missing health. It is now a little bit nerfed. So again, 8 starts normal, 9, 10, 11, 12, used to be 16, but it is now doing 1% per 50 ability power. So let's say late game Kayle build, you know, she's not a full AP champion. She doesn't really buy death cap or anything from my knowledge. She buys like attack speed kind of items with maybe a Riley thrown in here or there. Maybe Kayle would have 300 ability power in late game. Possibly. So if she had 300 ability power, before she'd get an extra 3%. Now with 300 ability power, she's getting an extra 6%. So if you actually make up that, 12 plus 6 is 18. So in late game, that is actually a net buff for her E of that regard. But then on the on-hit ratio used to be a little bit of scaling from both. It is now also buffed for ability power. So you know that they've been taking away late game power from her other stuff. This is actually a buffed late game ability. So again, a little bit of balancing going on. I'm fine with it. A lot of it makes sense to me. And oh, this is interesting. Her ultimate used to be always 100 mana, starting 100, then 50, then 0 mana at rank 3. At level 16, you can cast your ultimate even when you're So no matter what, you can cast ult, which is brilliant. And also, the big circle that does all the damage is a little bit bigger. So again, that's a buff too. That's a buff for the late game again. So overall, these Kayle, it's interesting. Again, the Aurelion Soul interests me. This interests me. I'd say this interests me more because I actually like Kayle. She was one of the champions back in Season 3 I originally used to get Diamond for the first time. So I will definitely try this out. We will give it a go. Maybe on the Leveling Smurf in, well, the patch is tomorrow. So maybe in my recording session. Again, you're watching this. I'm recording this on the Tuesday. You'll be watching this on Wednesday's second video. So I probably have already played Kayle by the time this video has come out. And hopefully we'll have a good time. So yeah, nice. Leona, cooldown decreased. So again, not much Leona play is happening. And when she is played, she's a little bit lackluster. So they're knocking off a second of her Q. It'll help, you know, every little helps, let's face it. And is it enough to make her relevant? Probably not. But a Leona players will probably have a smile on their face, and that's nice. So there we go. Lucian, base AD increase, so they're just giving him a bit of a buff to try and get on to... Well, really, why I think they're having this buff, and what are they saying? Giving Lucian a bit more power in the early laning phase. But yeah, so basically, and I was going to literally say the same thing without reading that, Lucian is supposed to be a lane bully. Supposed to be. Has anybody noticed that, like, when a Vayne is beating a Lucian recently in lane, you're like, that's not supposed to happen. So they're trying to just give him his lane phase back. So there we go. Nico. Nico can now deactivate her passive without taking damage or casting another ability. Wait, what? Nico can now deactivate her passive. Oh, so it's choice. So instead of, you know, you're pretending to be someone, you no longer have to pretend to be someone. You can just turn it off. I don't really know why you'd care about turning it off, if I'm honest. Maybe. I don't know. But I guess Nico players might have been asking for this. Again, I play Nico, but I wouldn't consider myself like, I'm a voice of Nico. No, I don't really care. So, whatever. That's kind of irrelevant. Oh, okay, we got some changes to the minion. So, Q thrusts now grant execute damage. Oh, look. A thing from the old Pantheon that has made it to the new Pantheon. And then E monster damage reduction removed. Okay, cool. So, I will say... does appear people are getting way more way more use of the new Pantheon in jungle than they are top lane. The reason for it, he doesn't beat anything in top. And I'm not kidding. Again, I've looked, I've researched, and I've looked at one tricks. Some one tricks are now playing him support, by the way, and I'm not kidding. He legitimately, if you've got, let's just say in Master, because that's kind of where I look, Master type of area. Not Challenger players, not Diamond players. Master player, it's a good level. I've been that level. It's decent, right? If you have a Master top laner and then a Master Pantheon, and no matter what that top laner really is going to play, if it's not stupid off meta, if it's meta, Pantheon doesn't beat anything. It just doesn't. It doesn't beat anything. Renekton, Camille, Darius, Fiora, doesn't beat anything. And yeah, so people are playing him in the jungle more. And support. So again, hopefully this way, again, I don't mean this, by the way, by BM. If you've been tuning into my streams where I've occasionally spoke about Pantheon, I want him to work. I really do. He looks cool. I like his abilities. I want him to work. I really do. So this is coming from a place of frustration of, please be better. Like, I want them to buff him more. And I actually would say, I think they should buff him more than this. Anyway, the thrusting Pantheon Spear, releasing within 0.3 seconds, now also increases the physical damage on targets below 25% of max health. So, matching a fully held Pantheon Spear bonus damage. So is this just for a little jib? So thrusting, which is just like a little whada, if someone's like right next to you, now does execute damage. So that doesn't help if you lob it, or does that already have an execute? I don't remember. But yeah, okay, so this is a buff if someone's trading with you and you're both low health. But I don't think that's Pantheon's problem. It's hard. Pantheon doesn't really get top laners to low health. And then also, this again, this is no longer reduces damage against non-epic monsters. Monster damage reduction. So is that a nerf for his jungle? No longer reduces damage against non-epic monsters. Yeah, that's a nerf, because before it was reducing damage that you take from epic monsters, and it's now not doing that. So that's a nerf to his jungle. Again, I did say most Pantheons are now playing him jungle. I don't... Again, maybe they're like, we don't want him to be a jungler, we want him to be a top lane. I don't know. Again, that's a bit confusing to me, but whatever. Kiana, E-basis damage decreased, R cooldown flattened. Makes sense. She's not broken, but she has her things. It's her ultimate. Like that is the whole champion practically. And she's good at early trading too. And that they say here, Kiana's early trades make her stronger than she should be, blah blah blah. So they're just removing some of the damage from the E and a tiny nerf to the late game, but nothing over the top. And then the R, this is a considerable nerf. So it was 120, 180. It is now staying at 120 like it was at rank 1 before. I'm okay with that, because like the whole champions are ultimate. So even in late game when she could get like 2 ultimates off pretty quick, she's good. So that is going to hurt that. Rise, base magic resist increased. So they're just, again, what is a champion that is really good for Worlds, that your whole team jumps in a Rise ultimate, makes a big play, a big teleport play. Rise for Worlds, there you go. Zyra, so I've complained about Zyra recently going, her damage is so high. R cost flattened, cooldown decreased, so they're buffing her. Okay, Riot, you drunk. We've got a bunch of buffs. We've got skins, which we've got Elderwood, Ari, Elderwood Viger, Elderwood Nocturne, Infernal Varus, Infernal Galio, Infernal Shen. I've got no news of what might be the League partner code. I think there is one, though, but I don't know who's got it. But obviously we will go give those out. Again, actually, we might be able to guess. It's Viger, I'm pretty sure. The reason why I could guess, he's got an extra one. So you see here, 8 chromas and then 8. That one's less. Well, why does he have 8 and then 9? Usually the one that has an extra chroma. So in the Elderwood line, 8, 8, he's got 9 chromas. These all have the same amount of chromas. So by logic, it would be Viger that has the League partner chroma. So, which I think is that one, by the way. I am colorblind, but that one looks green to me, and that's the color of the League partner stuff. So it's possibly that one. But yeah. Anyway, that's going to be the patch. Overall, I'm pretty happy about the Aurelion. I'm pretty happy about the Kayle. We'll try them out. And other than that, we're just seeing some changes that I think are more Worlds orientated. And again, like we said at the beginning of the video, that is just pure evidence that the League of Legends is a top-down game. That's going to be it. If you guys enjoy, throw a like on the video. Let me know what you think of the patch down below. And I'll see you guys next time. See ya.